evening to everybody, and welcome to another interesting episode of The Different News. I already have my gorgeous guest with me, Dr. Carolina. So, Dr. Carolina is a research associate and instructor at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. And she is an interdisciplinary scientist, being a dentist herself, and she has a long research career, and presently, she is being associated with researching in the field of finding solutions to mitigate and improve human health, particularly focusing on epidemiology and risk assessment in environmental health. Welcome, Carolina. Thank you so much for being here. And it's always a pleasure to meet you and talk to you. Thank you so much for accepting my invite and being on my podcast today.
Thank you so much, Gagi. It's a pleasure to be here. You're my good friend from distant time. So, yes, I hope I can be helpful at some point.
Of course, many of us heard about the uses or utilities of fluoride from a very long time in perspective of dental health, oral health, and also, of course, overall health. But when we hear fluoride, probably the first thing comes in our mind is about our toothpastes, if I am not wrong. So today we are going to get very insightful experience learnings regarding whether fluoride is good or bad. Is it a good guy or it's a villain at present? So we will absolutely start from scratch. So Carolina, of course, before I go to ask you many questions about this fantastic topic, I know your journey personally very well. It's such a rich and interdisciplinary, career that you have had, and you're still into it. So, would you like to share your journey of starting from dentistry, how you came into various aspects of research and the things that you are doing presently? It will be very inspiring to know your journey.
Thank you, Gagi. So, I am a dentist originally. I graduated in 2002. And the end of my graduation, I realized that these were more important than aesthetics. Of course, aesthetics is important, but why it matters for us to take care of our teeth. And so I started researching, doing when I was undergraduate student, how the dental infection, periodontal disease would impact the systemic health. And then this inspired me to go to my PhD, and I did my PhD in cardiology, where I investigated how periodontal disease would affect cardiovascular disease, atherosclerosis. That is the process that happens in our veins, arteries, that is related to myocardial infarction, all the circulatory disease, and other disease too, not only circulatory disease. So I was very happy that I was able to find some very useful thing for teeth, that not aesthetics. So I moved to cardiology field, and then I did my PhD on that in Brazil, São Paulo. I'm from Brazil. And then when I was finishing my PhD, I found very good results. In fact, periodontal disease was associated with atherosclerosis in high-risk patients. I started investigating some cases of re-emerging infectious disease in my son's school. Like some kids had a scarlet fever. We had a swine flu at that year that came from Spanish flu. And I started thinking something in the environment that was changing the DNA of these microorganisms, and we became susceptible to them again. Because theoretically, we created adaptations over time, but why we are now again susceptible for these infections? And then I started investigating, and I got into cosmic radiation, galactic cosmic radiation, solar activity, solar cycles, and how these variations of galactic cosmic rays over solar cycles could impact the DNA of microorganisms in the environment. And in fact, they are anticorrelated, and galactic cosmic rays have the power to modify atoms in the environment, and why not DNA? And then it inspired me to start a postdoc in the environmental health at a medical school in Brazil, São Paulo. And then I started with, it's difficult field because usually we don't know when the disease started. Like some people got sick one day and they like go to the physician if they go after 1 week, 1 month. So in the data is not that great. So to go back, even like according to World Health Organization, the classification of the disease have changed over time. So it was very difficult to really go in deep in that because I really want to go back centuries, but I couldn't. So I had the good data since 1950 in Sao Paulo, mortality data, and then I found very good results associated with cosmic rays, mortality, total mortality, infectious disease mortality, all this mortality. So, and this also inspired me to write another project, and I wrote this project to investigate how cosmic rays would affect the air pollution and how that would impact the human health. And then I wrote this project and then I sent to a professor at Harvard, Petros Koutrakis, and now he's my boss. And and he said, come and we're going to start this. And since 2015, I've been here in the US, in Boston, and doing this research. And we investigate all kinds of radiation, including solar activity, cosmic rays, and how this impact human health, not only through aerosols, but in fact, the sun is the main controller of life expectancy. If we don't do anything, we will die anyways with 120 years. I, like I'm being very optimistic, but if we have a very good health, we cannot live more than that. And there is a background that is promoted by the sun that produce oxidative stress. Oxidative stress are oxidants that accelerate aging. And
Right.
even if you don't do anything, the sun will control our lives. That's the truth. So yes, yeah, that's my journey over all these times, and I'm happy to be here.
Amazing. Just amazing. So I just want to ask you one thing. Have you left any point in the field of science without like where you haven't intervened? I don't think so. I mean, we say that sky is a limit, and probably from land to teeth, you have traveled to cosmic.
Yes, I am the universe now. Yes, I have I don't know who said be like, can
Uh-huh.
we start like from mouth to body,
Right.
body to planets, and that's it.
Absolutely. But that's amazing. I mean, that's very unique, and I don't think I know any other people who had done so much of. You are a true embodiment of what we call as multidisciplinary and, of course, interdisciplinary. So
Yes.
yeah. So thank you, Carolina, for sharing your journey. This is amazing. This is very inspiring for everybody of us. So coming back to our discussion today, I think that's also a very important topic that's coming up, and probably we have been talking about it. I think there are changes in perceptions about the area of whether fluoride is good, fluoridation is good or bad. So I think let's start from scratch. So can you just tell me that how what exactly is fluoride and how it actually interacts with our human body? So maybe that would be
Yes.
the very basic question I would like to put to you. Yeah.
Yes. So, fluoride is an element, as a natural element that we can find in nature. It produces through volcanic activity. It can retain in rocks, but in some areas where fluoride, humans found that in these areas people had less cavities, and that's created this area to investigate to include fluoride in water to prevent cavities. But fluoride is an element. When it started being included, I will go further to the question, but when it started being included in water, the research on this were very basic, and also the bad results, or they kind of ignored. But in fact, fluoride can be very toxic and it can produce acids and to other parts of our body. It's being related to chronic kidney disease, kids, lower cognitive function in children, um, a lot of adverse health outcomes, including also adverse health outcomes in cardiovascular disease. And I really think this is, I think we are delaying to really go deep in this, to investigate how good, like to put in balance, how effective it's fluoride for our health if we consider only cavities.
Right.
And that's is a brief overview about the fluoride.
Yeah, so all the good things that we always hear about fluoride, it's, I guess, not always very true. I mean, we need to see a bigger picture in this aspect. So, like when we talk about fluoride, so do you remember or do you know like how first it came to be implemented or used in dental health, or in terms of if I say public water where we are doing fluoridation? I mean, that's a common thing that has been done. So can you tell us a little bit of things on this?
Historically, yes, historically, it started in the US, in Colorado, in
Okay.
1940s or 1950s, where a dentist realized that the area where he was, the people had less cavity than in other areas, and in Italy too. And then after that, he started promoting the idea that fluoride would be good to prevent cavities. This movement grew because in fact dentists who like a dentist, we are so important, but no one likes. So at that time wasn't different, and so was a way for dentists to be important for the society. Oh, we are important, let's include fluoride in the water. So there are articles discussing this aspect of ego part of the dentist to include fluoride because we are important. And the research, as I said, the research on this were not so like they ignore bad effects and focus only the topic impact of fluoride. And this impact cannot be acute, like systemically, it's not acute. So if fluoride will impact health, but it's a chronic use of fluoride that is going to over time affect kidney, other organs. And then they decided to include fluoride in water
Mm,
to prevent cavities.
mm,
So it's been helpful, of course. I cannot say that's not, but in some places, in some countries that they didn't include fluoride in water, the cavities, the index of cavities also have reduced over time, even
mm,
if they don't have fluoride in water. So what is happening? Why there is this difference?
mm,
Why in some areas they include fluoride in water and the cavities are reducing? They think, oh, they attribute this for the water fluoridation.
mm,
But in other areas that they don't include the fluoride in water, also the cavities are reducing. Like the incidence of cavities is reducing these areas. So why? Because it's not only the teeth is not made when we are born. Like we have, they teeth are created when we are in our mom's belly,
yeah.
like receiving the nutrition of our mom. receiving the genetics impact of our mom to have good teeth or to have bad teeth.
Mm,
Genetically, we can be affected too, not only. So the mix of nutrition plus genetics will result in good teeth or bad teeth. So in these areas where they don't include fluoride in water, they have good indices. And also hygiene is so important. If you have a good hygiene, you don't need to have fluoride in water. And but they consider all, but let's consider this for poor areas where they don't have access to hygiene, where they don't have good nutrition.
mm,
um, Yes, for this case, I cannot say is not important. I cannot say that because oral dental infection can be lethal, can cause death,
mm,
can cause death. So in some areas, but how how we could do long term
mm,
a better impact in these poor areas. So a better impact will be not only like fluoride, but also improve nutrition in these areas, improving like a better pregnant time for women, where they are going to have a good medical assistance and have a good nutrition. I know it's too much, but that's what the ideal.
mm.
Yes.
So do you think there's like fluoride as such has been, with time, it has got a kind of hype? I mean, it is hype because I think when it comes to fluoridation of water, it's like a common thing that even the government bodies are kind of, they know that it has to be done because this is good for the people. So fluoridation of water is something which is a very common step taken in terms of societal health. But as you say that it's not the only factor, and I think this is a very important point because as far as my little knowledge goes in this, like, because some countries also, I guess, have banned fluoride in water. Is that true? Or uh,
Yes, it's true. In some places, like in Europe, Switzerland,
mm,
even Japan, other European countries, they don't see the reason to include fluoride in water, and they continue not including. And in fact, is because of this, because the incidence of cavities is
mm,
reducing anyways, because hygiene is the most important. Topical fluoride may be good for that. I
right.
think it's good, but also there is another impact of fluoride that I'm interested to investigate. Okay, it's good for cavities, but in for the rest, it's good for periodontal disease. We don't
Mm,
know. So it's something that I'm planning to investigate. I have a proposal to investigate some aspects of fluoride in systemic disease now. And yes, that's the and if we drink water, that's what I'm going to say. If it's the water fluoridation, how much fluoride we're taking? Much
mm,
more, because some places are the levels are pretty high. If you drink 2 liters of water, 1 liter and a half, so it depends a lot. And if you don't drink too much, you suffer. So it's very confusing the public health policies on this.
right, you are right.
And besides, in some areas where the fluoride, they have natural exposure of fluoride plus in water, kids can have fluorosis. There is a very dangerous kind of dental disease where they don't have a good formation of enamel that
Yeah,
is a protected teeth against cavities, in fact. And
true.
also, it is described the higher incidence of cardiovascular disease in these areas too.
Oh.
So yes, some areas of the in the U.S. We have fluorosis as a a disease that is common that's commonly happen in children.
Yeah, so for example, when even in India, we see many cases of fluorosis, what you are talking about with that soft kind of enamel not formed. So generally, as a preventive treatment, topical fluoride are kind of prescribed in these cases. So to kids. So is this a good way, or you think that the treatment, the protocol or the thought process towards the treatment needs to be little, we need to think about it when it is being applied on a child, and particularly like
Yes.
you said, that when we are like if it is a fluorinated water and we are drinking, every time it's kind of accumulating inside us, and probably for children, sometimes we see, like if they're like when they start brushing, when they just learn, sometimes
Oh,
kids
yeah.
simply take the toothpaste inside, they just swallow it. So
Yes.
in that
Yes.
way also we have quite a amount of fluoride in toothpaste. So I think that
Yes.
whole situation a little bit of it pulls the thought, we need to think about it. So yeah.
Yes, and it's very tasty too. They put a tutti fruit with strawberry, so
Right.
it's super tasty. Kids really loves eating, and it's bad. And,
Yeah.
and related to the topic application, it
Mm.
really should be careful. Like I agree, but I think all technicians and dentists should be well trained for that, because if the kids swallow the saliva after that,
Mhm.
they're going to ingest a higher concentration of fluoride, a lot. So I would say, of course, can apply, but also be sure that the kids won't swallow saliva at least after 10 minutes. They can throw out the saliva. Like with my kids, when they go to the dentist here, the technician said, "No, that's okay. You can swallow." So, no, you can. They cannot. So you just, I have a cup with them, and they put it out. So that's the way I do. It's like, I know it's not practical, but it's the only way that I think would be safe for them.
Right. So, since we are talking more on the, risks and controversies about fluoride, so I'd really like to ask you one question that, what do you think if it, like, what are the potential, like, if you can just pinpoint certain potential risks or side effects, which might be, which might come up in terms of when there is too much or excessive fluoride exposure?
Yes, yes. Well, in the areas where there are higher exposure of natural fluoride in water, for example, because some areas they don't have water system, they drink water from wells,
Yeah.
and here even the tap water, they add a lot of fluoride. If they have natural and not non-natural ways to put fluoride in water, kids show high indices of fluorosis. And this can be, as I said before, and this can be very dangerous, because first the teeth become more susceptible for infections, for cavities, for it's super sensitive. And besides, they also come with some cardiovascular disease. Because if we think, you asked me about the impact of fluoride in health. Fluoride is an element that attract calcium,
Ah, yeah.
that attract calcium. So, and they say that it can neutralize enzymes through calcium. So,
Mhm.
if you think that if we ingest fluoride, and fluoride will attract calcium everywhere where it is. So, if it is in the kidney, you have more kidney rocks, like renal, yes. And long term will be chronic kidney disorders. In cardiovascular disease, if you think like fluoride can attract calcium, if you drink, go to the blood and stop in these areas, will attract calcium in this area. So the arteries will be calcified. We are becoming more and more calcified. And if you think about the brain, if this blood take fluoride to the brain, so we are calcifying our brain.
Oh my
And
God, this is
who and
scary.
what's yes, and what is going to remove this calcium from this place? There is nothing that we can
Hmm.
do to remove it. It's
Right.
like Pompeii in the opposite way. Like Pompeii in Italy, when people started breathing dust from volcanic, they calcified it internally, and we are drinking water, and fluoride will promote the same thing. You calcify our whole body. So that's the dangerous part of fluoride. And small experiments, research have found that, have found all of this link with
Hmm.
fluoride and some kind of calcium disorders, calcification disorders. And this is one of the research that I'm doing. I'm going, if everything goes well, I'm going to start here.
Of course, I mean, you definitely, this research will be starting soon in your lab, and it will be a fantastic project. And definitely, once your results come out, I think it will be a very useful and very important contribution in terms of the results that would come out of this project. Because things that you were saying, I think I feel that now it's more important to talk about these things rather than benefits of fluoride, which we have been it's become an
Yes.
historical thing of listening to benefits of fluoride rather than the harmful effects of fluoride that way. So
Yes, and
yeah.
yes, and another thing that is, I'm going to say about fluoride, it also calcify pineal gland. Pineal gland is responsible for the release of melatonin.
Yeah.
Is a primary source of melatonin come from pineal gland. And if and it's true, like there are few studies is very not so good because we are trying to do research on this, but people
Correct.
try to avoid because it's a sensitive topic.
I know.
But in fact, it reduces melatonin levels. If it's reduced melatonin levels, it will affect also circadian rhythm.
Hmm.
Circadian rhythm is our physiology during the day and during the night related to the sun. So we are becoming, yes, we are affecting our whole system just to avoid cavities. That can be topic.
I mean, that's funny. That's really funny.
Yes, yes.
It's good to have some cavities and get filled it from the dentist with rather than calcifying everything.
Exactly. You can die from, like, you can choose. But
I mean,
yes, I think it's super painful cavities. I don't like, I really, we want to do our best to prevent, but I think we should do a better way to do it.
absolutely. Yeah, in that context also, like when we are talking about fluoride and not using fluoride, so probably a common question that runs in the mind is like, what are there any alternatives for fluorides in terms of when we are talking about cavity prevention? Are there any effective
In
alternatives?
fact, the mechanical hygiene
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
is already important, like
Mm.
mechanically removing plaque.
Okay.
So trying to eat more calcium food,
Mm.
avoiding sugar.
Mm.
Sugar will produce acidic, and our saliva will be more acidic. And so
Yeah.
acidic, it creates a good environment to grow bacteria that will cause cavities. So
Mm.
if we try to avoid, of course, people love, you can eat, but be sure that you can brush your teeth after at least, there are some conditions also for acidic food
Right.
because now many people eat acidic with sugar is a perfect environment for cavities. So if you eat acidic food without sugar, you just like clean your mouth with water and wait a little bit to brush our teeth because our teeth can become sensitive to acidic environment. You can remove enamel from our teeth just because of acidic food that we have. So one thing, eating more cheese, things, food with calcium that can help too. Magnesium. So we need to have a good diet. There is no way. We need to have a good diet, eating well, balanced food. Of course, poor areas will be more impacted. But if they eat basic food not with sugar,
Hmm.
you be good for to prevent cavities, and also the mechanical and the elements of there are tons of
Hmm.
toothpaste nowadays. I'm sure in Ayurvedic medicine they have a good solutions without fluoride to stimulate the calcificate, at least the protection of our teeth against bacteria. So yes, that's my suggestion, and we need to. Unfortunately, in public health policies and other areas, humans trying to solve the problem by the end. We cannot solve the problem in the end. We need to go back
Yeah.
and try to help moms to have a good diet, the kids to
Right.
have a better teeth, and like be instructing these kids to eat well and have a good habits, hygiene habits, and brushing their teeth. Yes, not necessarily. Yes.
Just that you mentioned Ayurveda, so the a question was just burning in my mind. Is there any alternatives in terms of like any phytochemicals or plant-based substrates that could be effective in case of prevention of cavities? Is there some uh, I mean, do you know of any very standard research that has happened or it's happening? Can you tell us about that?
I would say it's curious. I think if you use toothpaste with fluoride topically and make sure that we swallow everything, it's okay. If you decided to use a non-fluoride, a free fluoride toothpaste, what I prefer, I personally use. What is interesting, for example,
Ah,
mint is an element that is the opposite of calcification. It's like if you go back to phytotherapy and all this, it promotes like the opposite. So we are completely the opposite direction. Cinnamon, it's good. Cinnamon is good. So, but we usually toothpaste with cinnamon. We have always mint.
mm, mm.
Um, but in fact, this is kind of research that should be done carefully to really investigate over time. And if I know any study, I will tell you. But by now, I don't know. I didn't.
And out of curiosity, I asked because you have been in this field
Yes,
searching so much. Yeah. So I'm sure many people like you with the same curiosity in different fields, they must have been, they are already trying and probably we would, when we get into understanding those things, probably we get more information about it. In
I
terms of,
would guess.
yeah.
Sorry, I would guess there is no difference between fluoride paste and non-fluoride paste in terms of incidence of cavities. I really would guess that. But in terms of elements that can really prevent cavities,
Hmm.
I need to
Yeah, of course.
investigate further.
Of
Yes.
course, we need to see that as effective as how fluoride has been talked about, have been in the talks in terms of prevention of cavity, but now things like we see the other side of it, which we are probably not talking much about, and it's very important to create awareness about these things that we, particularly the things that related to the systemic problems that in the long term, excessive fluoride can create, which is kind of really scary. And when like you gave the whole big picture, I mean, so it absolutely starts from the childhood till we don't even understand why we landed up in a kind of disease, sometimes,
Exactly.
so the small things
Yeah.
really matters. And thank you
Yes.
for giving those insights. It's very valuable for all of us. I think there is a perception, as I personally see, look into it. Um, Probably many people might not agree what I say, but then I respect their views. But still, I'd like to, place my question to you. Is that there is a division of perception between, you know uh, particularly in fluoride I'm talking about, when it comes to public belief, public perception, and the scientific conversations. So if I ask you, why is this uh, division existing? If I could ask
Yes.
that question, yeah.
No, yes, I think there is a lot of misconceptions even among our among dentists.
Hmm.
Like we don't agree with each other we if I try to talk about this issue with dentists, I'm sure I'll be crucified. But if they consider these studies and they think about this secondary impact of fluoride, if they consider the element fluoride, not only like but like let's think about the function of fluoride. If you
Yeah.
drink too much water, what's going to happen to this fluoride? You won't eliminate. And besides, it can also get stored in our thyroid and cause other issues with thyroid. So it's there is a lot of systemic issues that we as a dentist we became far away when the divisions of the schools started. So when in the beginning of 20th century, when the medical schools started separating dental schools, was great because we advanced a lot. But at some point, we missed the systemic impact of our mouth. So we have a huge impact in everything that we do in our mouth. Every infection that we have in our mouth, it will impact our systemic health. And another thing is that about the coming back a little bit of the toothpaste, if it has calcium, the toothpaste, calcium, it would be great because you have a source of calcium. And the calcium is not you can swallow, like we don't need to swallow, like it's not dangerous to swallow calcium. But and about the controversies of the opinions on fluoride use, we have the World Health Organization that says we should have fluoride. So it's a long way to discuss because we need to connect the mouth with our body. You cannot separate it. And it relates to people. Some people don't know and they try to avoid, and others don't know, and they will be, if you start doing that, people will accept if we prove that is in fact this can be dangerous. But because of these misunderstandings among professionals,
Hmm.
scientists,
Hmm.
it's confusing for people to really be sure what if it's good enough, it's
Absolutely.
if it's good or not good. So it can be confusing for them because they won't know the literature. But we need to make things clear to them, like to explain. And some people also, some dentists leave it to defend fluoride. So how they are going to live if fluoride is not like if they cannot defend fluoride anymore. So it's also an ego. We need to you need to put our ego aside and so what is good or not for our health.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think when it comes to science and when it comes to treating, like the profession that we are in, it's we dealing with humans. I think always it is a good idea to have a more holistic, approach and holistic approach. Holistic big picture view of the entire thing instead of just being lit that sticking to that only teeth thing and only technique thing. So I think
Exactly.
yeah, I think with time this awareness is growing because many people are talking about it, and scientists like you, when you bring results and when you talk about all these things, this is very important because you are actually doing the science out there, and then we come to know. So I hope with time all these controversies would dilute down, and probably people understand not only the benefits but more on the harmful effects that fluoride could have, and probably we see some better sunny days in the
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
No,
uh,
and there is a cumulative effect of fluoride. You cannot think that fluoride is eliminated and that's it. No, it
yeah.
get accumulated in our body.
We are in the concluding part of our conversation. Is there anything specific that you would really like to emphasize in terms of the topic that we are talking about, that is whether fluoride is good or bad? I think we have covered a lot, but still, is there any specific message as a scientist, as a dentist, you would like to put forward for the betterment of people?
Yes, I think people should be aware about always nutrition part. This is a response of what we've done, what moms we've done for their kids. Habits, hygiene habits, brushing their teeth regularly as much as they can. And regarding fluoride, I personally, I'm scared, so I avoid. I drink spring water. No, not everyone has. I think in India, that I'm not sure if they include fluoride in water. I know that there are some. I don't think you have fluoride in water in the whole country. I think there is some there are some scientists that also are researching this there or researched some time ago the impact of fluoride and at least like question that is that really good, and in fact I think if you want to use topically I it's okay, but drinking in drinking water I definitely I'm not favorable for this. This is my yes, but this is part of my research, so I'm researching more and more about this, and I hope we can do this research. It take a while, but you have a good results.
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
it is always very nice and heartwarming to see you, to talk to you, and it was a pleasure when I met you in person in India. We met in a very weird condition, but that was fun. And I hope when you come to India again, we will meet again. And thank you, Carolina, for
Yes.
giving all your valuable wisdom today, because I think this is not about being controversial on a topic, but I think this is very important to create awareness, because there are a lot of things that are happening that scientists like you are doing for the society, but we are not much aware about it. And I think that's what I'm trying to do with my podcast platform. So
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here with you and talk about this. Thank you so much,
thank
again.
you. And thank you, everybody. Keep watching and please subscribe my channel to see more interesting interviews and topics, just like how Dr. Carolina has enlightened us on a very simple but so important thing, that is whether fluoride is good or bad. I'm sure this episode has enlightened and you have got a lot of light bulb moments. And if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the comments and we'll definitely try to answer that. Thank you, Carolina, once again. And
Thank you so much.
bye. Bye, everybody.